welcome back to Mean Gene 1963. If you are not a subscriber of my channel, I ask that you do subscribe by pushing the little button below and leave comments to this video or any other video that you would like me to do. That would be great. And we are immersed in the Chakra series. So there's a video prior to this one. It's marked 1 on my channel. This would be the second one. And I'm assuming that if you watch the first video and you're ready to go into the second chakra, you have your card that you've already started. And as I stated, we're going to be using this card for 8 months through the series. So we're moving up, and there's some work to happen today into the second chakra, the sacral chakra. So I ask that you have your card handy, and we're going to get started. So let's get started. Just got this book, Amazon, love Amazon. You can buy it secondhand out through the Amazon channel. This literally is, I think it's a $15 book. It is your Bible to anything that we talk about with the chakra. So if you don't have this book, strongly suggest it for the chakra system. So in the last series, prior to this one, we have just spent, hopefully you're doing the same by following this process through and having time to integrate into each series. So in the last month, we covered root, and so here's where you should be right now. You should have totally done the work of the root for the last 30 days, and we did this on my Facebook channel by doing meditations, by doing I am statements, by doing affirmations, by doing grounding, by answering questions, and all around feeling safe, right, and in our body and the right to be here. So what we know about the first chakra is that we're in a body, we're in a physical body. And we've accepted that. Now, as we move up through this chakra system, we're in our body, but now it's time to, and this is where it all happens for the feeling center. So this is totally tied with everything down to do with our reproductive organs. And it also has to do with passion and sensuality and sexuality and the things that we love, but more importantly, the way it makes us feel. So if you're blocked in any way in this chakra, you would be numb. And if you're overactive in this chakra, you would be too sensitive. So we'll get to more of that as we dive into this one particular one. So if I've caught your eye and your attention with those two statements, I'm sure there's things in your life that you're numb about and there's things that you're oversensitive about. Let's talk about this chakra being completely balanced. I always like to start with the imbalance process, okay? So this chakra is I move. So the first one, I am. Second chakra, I move. So this has everything to do with movement. And it also has a lot to do with our creativity. So if this chakra is balanced, you should feel graceful with your movements. You should be able to embrace change. At work, we used to call it the change agent, right? Making change happen. That's somebody who has a balanced second chakra. This also deals a lot with polarity, and we're going to be talking a little bit more in detail about that in a moment. So hang tight. You will know what polarity means when we're done this video. It's also the nutrients of self and others. So it's that nice balance between doing for everybody, but also knowing and nurturing ourselves and saying, you know what, it's time to take a break. Great segue for taking a break would be balance, right, and boundaries. So I'm assuming that 98% of our population out there, given the current state of affairs that we're in our world, everyone would admit that balance is something that we all struggle with. We're trying to work, we're trying to get home, we've got caring for our parents, caring for our children, right? There's a lot going on in this busy world. And this chakra is where boundaries and balance truly is important. So we deal a lot of it with that aspect, and we're going to be doing some work on our card with that in a moment again. So balance and boundaries, huge with this chakra. And we'll talk about healthy boundaries and what those are, right? The ability to enjoy pleasure. This is passion and, of course, abundance, right? So when this chakra is overactive, you would have addictions, maybe even sexual addictions. You could be obsessive. You could have mood swings. You could be oversensitive, as we already mentioned, poor boundaries, as mentioned. And if this chakra is under, you could be rigid, especially with your body, unable to move. You could be oversensitive, fear of change, right? So, you know, I just got a text from a girlfriend who said she couldn't do something because she was crippled by fear. And wow, more to come on that. So this is where that energy is stored in the second chakra. This is about moving. My teacher, thank you Nana Bryan, always said the step before fear is complacency. And when you're in fear, the good news is you're actually in it, right? You're doing something about it. Where if you're complacent and stepping out of it, you're not doing anything. So fear is actually a really good thing. And I think it gets a bad rap. It actually is there to teach us to move or to do something about it. So more on that in a minute. Excessive boundaries. This is somebody who's so rigid, right? So we talked about not having good boundaries, but what about having too many boundaries? I'm sorry, it's 12:02 and I need to eat my lunch, and being so stuck in a routine that you can't get out. So give me a break. I know what you're thinking. I'm not talking about discipline. I'm talking about rigid boundaries. There's a difference, okay, because you're laughing at me, I'm sure, those people who know me. So in this chakra, as we mentioned in previous videos, there's a demon in every chakra. And we're going to be doing some work today around the demon in this chakra, which is guilt. So how many people do this? This will be a classic example of boundaries and guilt, right? So you really want to take the day off, or go get your nails done, or enjoy a party, but you've got so much work to do. So you sit at your desk, and the whole time you're at your desk, you're wishing you were out at the party. Or the other way around, you go to the party, and the whole time you're at the party, supposedly supposed to be having fun, you're thinking about that pile of work you have back at your desk, right? So that's an example of bad boundaries, or not living in the moment too. If you feel guilty about where you are, then you're not in the moment, right? You're wishing you were somewhere else. So that's an example of guilt. But I want to read a little bit more on guilt. It's very important since we're right there. Guilt is a natural and appropriate, start that again. Guilt is natural and appropriate when we realize that we've inappropriately caused another person pain. So I am not enforcing the energy or the behavior of somebody who is guiltless and could care less about everyone else's feelings. But I am talking about the guilt that we place on ourselves that is unhealthy, which I just described in that little metaphor. So hopefully you get the understanding of that. But again, we're going to do some work on guilt, so stay with me. So just finish that. The physical body, this takes on lower back pain. This is how this chakra is affected when there's issues. We have low back pain, we have hip joint issues, genital diseases, herpes, yeast infections, those urinary tract problems, menstrual problems for all those women out there for my tribe who have fibroids and horrendous periods, or any blockage in anything to do with the reproductive issues. This is that chakra, right? The positive archetype in this chakra is the Emperor and the Empress. And so let's talk about each of those. The Emperor guides and influences with strong guidance, and it isn't pushing in any way. And of course the Empress is all about nurturing and taking care of yourself. The negative archetype about this chakra is the Martyr. No, you go ahead. You go to the party, I'll stay home and cook dinner for you all. When you return, there'll be a nice meal for you, okay? The Martyr does not work for anybody, so look it up if you don't know what a martyr is. The element of this chakra is water, which is why we talk about movement. And the sensory connection is to taste, the sweet taste. It's all about sexuality, and the connection to astrology is through Cancer and Scorpio. And its planet is in Juniper. So also the sound to this chakra is Vam. Okay. So I've given you a lot actually, about the second chakra. And as we mentioned in the past video, every chakra has a life lesson. So if you remember the root chakra, to value the material at the time of despair, if you remember that one. This one is the right to feel and to know that you are enough, and to create those healthy boundaries. So those of you who've been working with me lately, you know, being enough has showed up. In fact, somebody, and I know you know who you are, got homework the other day. She had to put I am enough on every mirror in her house. And another person actually got the same message, and I think she did stickies in about 1,000 different places and just put it everywhere that she was heading so that she would see that message every day. And it truly is a message we all need to hear. You know, we are enough, but there's actually also enough time in the day to get it all done. There's enough resources out there. There's enough abundance for everybody. But when we really believe, stop there for a second. When we believe there is not, then our experience shapes that. I never can get it done. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to get right into work now on our second chakra. Pull out your card. If you know what your card is, it had your name on it. I asked you to do this in the first video. And then I also asked you to create space for this as we go through this series. So we're on the second chakra. And here's some questions I want you to take a moment and fill out on your card. Are you ready? I want you to answer this question, true or false. There is never enough time, money, or resources to do all that I want to do in my life. Let me say that again. There is never enough time, money, or resources to do all that I want to do in my life. Is this true or false for you? Take a second and answer that question. Okay, next one. This is where you're doing your work. Okay, are you ready for this? Tell me or write down for your own card 3 areas that you currently do not have balance. That you're feeling a lack of balance in your life. Just take a second. It could be, you know, eating healthy, it could be working out, it could be your children, whatever it is for you, just write down, even if they're in order, it's perfect. But really, what comes to mind when you hear me ask the question, what is currently out of balance in your life? Write 3 things down. 3. Take a second and do that. Okay. So if you've had to pause the video, that's fine. So here's what I want you to do, and this is where your homework comes in, okay? If you've listed 3 things, you know, not enough time with my children, work-life balance, not enough pleasure, whatever it is that you've listed, hear this statement. I know I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. It's so worth hearing. If you are currently out of balance in anything in your life, then you are lacking a boundary there. So look to those 3 things that you just listed on your own paper and think about creating a boundary around that. So if it's going to the gym and you're not working out, okay, hey, 10 minutes a day, could you be doing something? I commit to the next 7 days of taking a walk, and I'm going to do that walk at 12 to 12:15. Whatever you need to do, that would be a time limit. That would be a boundary. Create it for yourself. And I promise you that wherever you're out of balance, if you create a boundary around it, or tell somebody no, they can't come see you at that time because you're walking, that would be a boundary, this will change for you and it will help you in your second chakra, okay? So moving along, now we're going to do a little bit more work, more to come. We're talking about the demon guilt, okay? So this is where we get into polarity. There's a lot to this topic, so bear with me as we get through this. On a separate card, or even on your, if there's room on your sheet, that'd be great. I want you to think about guilt. Don't give it a lot of energy. Usually guilt is something that's right there at the surface, even though we carry it down here in the second chakra. Just close your eyes and think about, is there anything currently in your life that you feel guilty about? Okay. So write that down as the problem, okay? So just whatever it is that you're feeling guilty about. Right now I feel guilty that I should be doing my yoga and I'm talking to you. I'm only kidding. But anyway, write down whatever your problem is for guilt. Okay. Now, problem solve. If you can't problem solve this for yourself, then call your best friend or your mother or somebody, or your husband, or whoever is the closest to you and say, hey, can you help me with this issue? This is my issue. And I assure you, the person who loves you the most, if you can't do it for yourself, because you're not enough right now, will come up with a solution for you. And the solution, I promise you, will be the opposite of what the problem is. So think about that. And that's where we get into polarity. Polarity. This is the second chakra, and this is about polarity. So the polarity, the definition of polarity, it's the opposite of. And polarity is in so much in our life, right? So I'm actually going to take you through an experience. And it might be a little bit emotional, so bear with me as you go through this, as we go through this together. Just get grounded. I know you know what that means. Close your eyes if you will. I'm going to teach you what polarity is. Your eyes should be closed, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out and in a very safe way, I want you to view a very painful time in your life. We're not talking physical pain, we're talking emotional pain. I'm looking for a pain body. And what I want you to do is go out to that moment, but here's where you're safe. You are up and you are looking down. So if it's when you receive the bad news, is it when somebody walked away from you when you were hoping they would walk towards you? Is it something that was said to you that was so mean and as a child you remember it clearly? Whatever it is for you, this is your journey, not mine. I just want you to close your eyes and in that safe place of looking and observing it, I want you to just see that take place in your mind's eye. So do that for me for a second and stay with me and listen to my voice. You're safe and you're witnessing it, you're watching it. Okay. As this is taking place for you, now I'm going to ask you to do the hard thing. I'm going to ask you to step down into your body, and I want you to try to remember what it felt like to be in that pain. And if you have to pause the video to really immerse this, or you want to do it after the video, that's fine. I definitely want you to do this work. Take a moment and just experience what it felt like to be in that moment. What are you feeling? Grief, sadness, hurt, abandonment? Attach a name to it or an expression to it, okay? Okay, now stay with me. We're going to go to the other side of this. We're going to the polarity of it. I want you to do the same thing all over again. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to observe yourself having the most joyful, blissful experience you've ever had in your life. Go back and observe that, close your eyes and do that. And wait till you see what happens. And as you're looking down and witnessing yourself experiencing this joyful bliss, the birth of your first child, walking down the aisle to marry the man of your life, getting a soft embrace from your mom when you were 10, whatever it is that your experience of feeling blissful and joy, could be an ice cream cone at the Dairy Queen. It's your experience. Go into your body now and imagine what it felt like to be in that moment. And again, what are you feeling? Okay, come out. Please do that work, by the way. I know you're probably just watching me and not really partaking, but I do want you to do this. And the reason is there's so much in that energy. I can take you to the terrible dark time in your life, and I can take you to the terrible light or the beautiful light in your life, and I can give you feelings attached to both of these. And that, my friend, is the second chakra. It has everything to do with feeling and experiencing it. So, that wraps up our second work, or our second chakra work on this chakra system series, 1 of 8. More to follow. And I really appreciate our time together, and please share this video. If there's something that you'd like to add or comment below in your experience of doing any of this work today, that would be phenomenal. And again, stay attached. I'm asking you to stay connected to this chakra for the next 7 days, 7 months, whatever you're doing. Again, we're doing this monthly with my spiritual group. So however you do this, just allow time in between. And we will see you next month as we go up the chakra system and we get into the power center, which would be the 3rd chakra. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with some affirmations regarding this chakra. And I'll also acknowledge, my friend, that you are beautiful, you are enough, and I appreciate our time together. So, here's the affirmations for the second chakra. Pleasure is sacred and part of my life. I trust in the process of life. I am honored and I have a sacred vessel, and I will treat my body with respect. The universe is full of sweetness and beauty. I am a creature of light, open to the magic of the universe. And lastly, I am grateful for the joy of just being me. Thank you. Have a fabulous day. This is Jeannie Lynch signing off. Namaste.